I've known Doc from our days back in the 4Ds with Gary Vee. I'm so excited to have him today, so we're going to dive right into this. Before we do, Doc, welcome to the Massimo Show.
Hey, Rod, thanks so much for having me. I'm pumped, man. Thanks so much. You have so much energy. I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
Well, I try to take it from you. Doc, help the audience. Tell us a little about yourself first, the Brand Factory, and then I'm going to go deeper into this. So tell us about what you do, what your company does a little bit, and then we're going to dive into you.
Yeah, so Brand Factory Inc., what we do is we really help you with all things your content in that storyline. So what I'm the founder of Brand Factory Inc., and I am a solution architect. And what that means is we're basically looking at, as you're trying to produce content, what are you trying to say, and how can you actually have the systems and feedback loops to make sure you're on par, what you want to say, and then getting to your goal. So that's what we do at Brand Factory.
Solution architect. That was awesome. That was awesome. So folks out there, he's a solution architect, helps you build your brand. Think about he clearly articulated what he does. Can you articulate that as well as he just did? Okay, so Doc, before you became Doc, you were a preteen, teen kid. Where were you living?
Yeah, so I was living in the burbs right outside DC. So I was in Montgomery County. I got there I was 6 weeks old. So I was pretty much born and raised in Montgomery County. Started there with a couple businesses and then just went from there.
Wait a minute. I'm talking preteen, teen. You had businesses in your preteens and teen years?
Yeah. Actually, I have it on my fridge. I had a trading card company, or I sold trading cards and candy. And I had in my parents' basement. So I had my own business cards by the time I was like 8. So I did that for a couple of years. I remember I sold one of my trading cards. It was actually a Pokemon card for $100. That's when I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. I'm going to have my own business. And then after that, I became a wedding DJ at 12 and then went from there.
Oh, but you're an 8-year-old entrepreneur, Doc. So the question has to be asked, besides trading cards and Pokemon cards, but by the way, do you still have your Pokemon cards?
Not anymore. I sold a lot of them. Then I was getting back into it. And I started buying it, and then it was too late. I couldn't go back. Couldn't go back.
They're
gone.
Any from a competitive nature? Any sports in your youth?
No, I was, well, and a lot of people don't believe this. I was a morbidly obese child. I was so big as a child. No one wanted me to play sports with them. And so no. And I had asthma. No, Rod. The simple answer is no.
Okay. Well, as a fellow asthmatic, first of all, I can't believe knowing you as I do and seeing you up close. Absolutely not. But that's great. So you're an entrepreneur. You got the bug. Where did the bug come from? Was it originated from anywhere? How did it evolve?
You know what? I don't really know. All my siblings and my parents have always said, like, it's just in me. Like, I'll give you 2 examples. Like, one, when I was around that age, before I opened the candy store, my sister wanted like a Coke. And my sisters are like 9 years older than me. They keep talking about like I charge them like $10. I charge them like $5 for a little Coke. But it was supply and demand. And I understood, like, they came to me. They didn't want to go to the store. I was like, I need money. So it was just always interesting to do things like that and see what people were interested in and see if I could sell them things. So it's always been in my blood. I don't know.
Okay. So were you one of those folks, today, since you're, I don't want to use the word disciple, that's the wrong word. We're not disciples of Gary Vee, but we follow Gary Vee. We listen to Gary Vee. You work with Gary Vee in some ways. But were you that one to say, I don't need to go to college because I think I can figure this out on my own? Or did you actually go to college?
I went to community college, but I only went to school for massage therapy. Because I was like, I'm just going to be a massage therapist. I'm going to open my own business. So I went to school for that. And I was 18. And then this was 2008. Everything crashed. People stopped spending money on unnecessary things. Massage for a lot of people is unnecessary, right? So then I went to school for physical therapy assistant because I'm like, this is stable. I'll stay there. And then I just got bored. I was like, I need to open up a gym or I need to do something.
So what did you open?
Yeah, so I opened up a CrossFit gym when I was 23.
So hold on. The morbidly, not my words, your words, Doc, here, okay? The morbidly obese teenager at 23 opens his own CrossFit gym. Is that correct?
Yeah. So let me put a caveat. So as a child until I was about 14, I was very big. But I was only about 5 foot. And then I had a growth spurt and I started working out and that was it. And then so I started working out because my older sister's boyfriend was telling me I would never get into muscle and fitness, I actually wrote in and had a before and after, and I got published, and they paid me $100. I took a picture of that. And then I was like, yeah, after that, I was all about fitness and everything. And that's years later, I was into CrossFit when I was in high school. And then after I was in physical therapy, I'm like, this is great. I don't really like working for someone. I bet I could open my own gym. And then that's what I did.
Okay, so now we're making a transition here. Now you open your own gym. So again, the 8-year-old card and candy king, right, of
Yep.
DC. There you go.
Yep.
The 17-year-old before and after transformation in Muscle and Fitness magazine. So now we're an old man. You're getting close to 23, I guess, right? And so you decided to open your own gym.
Yeah. So I opened up a CrossFit gym. That was fun. And then I was like, you know what? I'm still a little bit different than a lot of CrossFit gyms. I think I have a very specific message. And just very randomly where my gym was located, a guy that got on American Ninja Warrior was on it. And he's like, I need a place to train. I was into parkour at the time. So then I built a parkour gym that was 2 stories high out of an equestrian stadium that was in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Unbelievable. Okay. So look, we're going to take a really short break. If you're not already completely just enamored with Doc and realizing, oh my, this kid is different. And boy, folks, if you can't see him as you go to the video, he's a kid. Doc, how old are you today?
Well, I just turned 32. I just turned 32.
He's a kid. Those damn kids. Those kids. So Doc's going to dominate. Why he dominates, how he transitions from this fitness guru to more of the content king. We're going to get to that in the next session of the Massimo Show. Hold on.
Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and/or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of.
For our special guest, Doc Williams. Think about this, 8-year-old entrepreneur, 17-year-old fitness transformation, 22-year-old gym owner, but he's about to get into the content world, but not quite directly. He got there a certain way while still being in the fitness industry. Doc, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I was running a brick and mortar business, I realized I love training people. I love the business. I just didn't like being there every day, like having everything confined. I just wanted time to get away. I didn't feel like managing a lot of people. So I just got burnt out running a gym. So sold the gym, got rid of that, but I still wanted to stay in fitness at the time. So I was like, you know what? I know about fitness. I want to see if I can start writing. So I started, well, this is before I ended up on the reality show.
Wait, reality show. let's not jump there yet. So, now I got so much to cover. Okay, so tell me about you start evolving into more of the content side of the fitness world.
Basically, the short answer of that is I wanted to write about fitness and wanted to write about everything to do with fitness. And I realized, hey, I actually like talking to different athletes and influencers. I bet I could write content for them or about them. That's when I started writing for different blogs and writing for different magazines. And that's how I ended up writing for ESPN. And then when I wrote for ESPN, then I could get access to any athlete I wanted to. And then I would just write the article about them and then pitch them saying, hey, I bet I could write for you, either content, a book, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how I got into the world of content marketing for influencers for fitness.
Wow, so much to unpack there. ESPN writer, getting in front of athletes because you followed your passion. And for you, it just became, I mean, this all comes naturally. And that just, if you know you, we know this is what Doc's all about. But I got to go back to that reference you made a minute ago. What reality show?
So while I was running my gym, the Arnold's, which is a pretty big deal in like the fitness world, Arnold Schwarzenegger puts on a fitness festival every year. So he's been doing it for like 30 years. He was actually doing a reality show at the event where it was America's Next Great Trainer. So it was all the trainers around the US could apply or do a trailer of why they were the best. And then they would have at a select amount go head to head in challenges. And then they would film the whole thing at the sports festival within 48 hours. And then they were syndicating that as a TV show and breaking it up. So I was working at the gym, and this is like the tie-in. I had my first commercial filmed by my videographer, Jay. I was like, I need you to do a trailer about me as a trainer. And so he did the trailer, and then I got selected, and then I got on the show, and then, yeah, so that's how it happened.
Well, Doc, I got to tell you, it's a small world in this way. I've been to Columbus, Ohio at the Arnold Show. I actually developed a patent inventor on a fitness watch, and they had Arnold come to us and put on the watch to just and take a picture of him with the watch. It was amazing. I mean, it was a great experience, but that was the end of my fitness industry passion right there. But let's move forward. Now you're a writer. You're realizing you can create content for athletes. So, like, how did that work? Did you actually write books, blogs? When you say content for athletes, what exactly were you delivering?
Basically, I would pitch the athlete or influencer. I'm like, hey, you're already having this brand. You're doing this on social media, but you don't have like a landing page. You don't have any call to action. Let me find out what your audience wants, and I'll write the campaigns to get them to buy whatever you want. Just tell me what you want. So a lot of them had either ebooks at the time were really hot, and then they had either physical products, and they just didn't want to write the copy. So I had this technique based on writing all these articles. I could listen to someone for like a half an hour. I would record them, and then I would do certain exercises to write like them, write in their voice, write in their like style. And then I could just knock out campaigns. So that was the first time. So I did it with my first athlete. She was really big in CrossFit, Christmas Abbott. She became a NASCAR pit crew, the only female pit crew member. So anyway, wrote for her. And then I wrote her first campaign, and she broke like 10K in under 48 hours.
You recognize, and some people are just shaking their heads right now going, wait a minute, this kid self-educates, writer, gets to the gatekeeper, talks to athletes, ESPN. You know, this is all passion is what it is, right? And skill set. You had the passion and the drive to make this all possible. You start all along the way, you're going different avenues, you're always growing somewhere different, you start an opportunity. So eventually this brings you to where, you know what, beyond the athlete, there's probably a business out here called the Brand Factory. So what was your genesis of the Brand Factory?
The biggest thing is, when you're dealing with a lot of influencers and celebrities, there's two things. Either there's a lot of celebrities that are really broke, but they look like they have a lot of money, or there's influencers that like they're so used to people paying them or getting things for free. It's really hard to sift through like who I should work with, who has the budget, who's with it long term, who has the passion. It's just too many things. So basically the end of it was I saw that I wanted to focus on ones that were really serious about their business. And there was a formula that I took from working with influencers and athletes that I knew I could bring into the business world, and definitely e-commerce, and definitely ones that were serious about their craft. So I was like, I learned a lot about fitness. I love the fitness industry, but I wanted to go in a different direction. So basically we packed that up, everything at Toolkit. I made it a productized course. So I'm like, hey, there's some people that still come up to me and like, hey, can you write it for me? If they're not a good fit, I'm like, hey, just take my course. I built it out how I've done this with all these athletes, and they've made tons of money. Do that. But then I shifted it to everything with Brand Factory.
Okay, so what exactly is Brand Factory, and who's a great client for you, and what can you provide for them?
So Brand Factory is basically a set of systems and flow charts to basically get you to where you want to go with your dream, especially with content. So what I find is a lot of people have great ideas and they want to impact their industry, but there's so much noise and so much shiny object syndrome. Like, people just don't know how to focus. So what we do is we focus on how can we build content based around your personality and the content or the content medium that gives you energy. And let's just build on that and then build the storyline on where you're trying to go. So it really starts with like, okay, are you really skilled, or do you have a company that you're already crushing it at? Okay, great. That's a great start. Where do you want to go? And then we just reverse engineer how we get you there with positioning, with the right kind of messaging and the right brand aesthetic that you want to portray for your target audience.
It sounds great in concept. Some people try to translate that though, Doc. They are, I get that. So can you give us an example of a client you work with and what you delivered for them and the results?
Yeah, I'll give you too many case studies. Like, so we call this basically, I don't know how we came up with it. It's called the pirate ship. I don't know why we started calling that. I think one of the clients started calling that. I don't know. But it's called the pirate ship. Basically, it's a really, really lean minimal viable funnel and minimal viable product. So let's make it real simple. Say we have a consultant. I'll give you one example. We had one consultant. She knew she liked working one-on-one, but she wanted to scale. And she's like, I don't want to keep just working one-on-one with people. What do I need to do? And so we're like, okay, listen, I need to find out your best client. I need to find out like what makes them so great. So she found them, she talked to them, and then we're like, hey, listen, ask them if they can find more people just like them. And so once she did, we turned it into a one-to-many, so one-to-group call instead. And then from the group call in 6 weeks, she's like, I don't know. I made money. You told me to do group calls. I'm making money, but I don't know what to do next. I might want to do a course. I'm like, just ask them what they want. And a lot of people wanted to become a consultant like her or a therapist like her in a very specific technique. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you just make an intro course to learn your technique, how to help others? And on top of that, more people wanted more coaching with her. And so we structured it. And from having one client within 6 weeks, she had a devoted group of 10 people paying her over $400 a month for sessions with her. And then she sold out her beta course and she made $4,600.
That's the pirate ship.
Yeah. I don't know why we call it the pirate ship, but anyway, yeah, we just go and plunder and we just do it very quickly, and it's quick and dirty to test the idea first, because tons of people are like, I want to build an app. I want to do all these things. Let's just make it really simple to see if people even care what you are trying to build. Then we build the storyline after we have someone raise their hand and give you money. Then we build everything else.
So to sell the course, however, you would have built the campaigns and the advertising and marketing on different channels to get folks aware of the course's availability and then create the transaction.
Well, even for her, the thing was she already had her most attentive group, the people in her one-to-many group in her group call, and she just sold to them. She didn't even do any kind of email or anything. We're like, hey, tell them what the course is about. And she recorded her call, so we just recorded what they were saying. And then I gave her a script based on what they were saying. And she's like, do you want this? And everyone on the call bought. And then we reversed, and then she did a beta course on Zoom, and then we cut it up and then made it the course. Yeah.
You take content, you can create micro content from each thing, repurpose it in a variety of ways, right? But you do all that. The client's not doing that. You and the brand factory take that content, dissect it, repurpose it, get it out to the market, sell it. Is that correct?
Correct. This is kind of like what we're going to be releasing out of the, the 4Ds event for the Cloud and Dirts. We have this content model 2.0. So it's taking all the things that Gary talks about how to create it, but a lot of people have trouble actually executing it. We do all that in the background. So it's like, hey, this is the storyline. Do you sign off on the storyline? Great. We're going to document it. We're going to record all that, cut it up, and then do everything for you and distribute it for your brand.
And that can be something as simple as a single speech or something for a greater campaign. Is that correct?
Yeah. So any long form, one piece of long form content, then we do the rest. So it can be an interview, it can be a keynote, it can be a podcast with visuals or something, and that's all you really need.
Okay, perfect. So who is the ideal client for you, Doc?
Ideal client is ones that want to be trendsetters in their industry. They know that they want to be the best in their industry, and they have a very specific method or speaking point that they want to really resonate with their audience. If you're one of those people, that's who we want to work with. And the size of the company, it doesn't really matter. Our sweet spot, I see that we're really working with ones that are either solo entrepreneurs or have a smaller team to maybe 5. Now, we don't really care about the number of contractors you might have, but I think we do our best work with 1 to 5 as their main group. Yeah.
Okay. So is this limited strictly to experts, coaches, consultants, authors, or is there beyond that? Which no doubt there's hundreds of thousands of so-called experts, consultants, coaches, and authors. So it goes beyond that scope.
Yeah, it goes beyond that scope. That's pretty much our wheelhouse, which is like, let's just start printing money. Like that's very, very easy for us to do because it's a plug and play. We've done it tons of times. But we do work with a couple e-commerce brands, but I really think it has to do with the brand that has to have a personalized voice. It's connected to a person. So it can be a larger company, but as long as it's connected to a person or that person is personifying that brand, then we work with that person.
So the brand factory, this is really important for the listeners. The brand factory doesn't mean, for example, it's not, in my case, it's not the Massimo Group. It really is Rod Santomassimo. Is that correct?
Correct.
Because you want to build up, folks, you actually want to build your brand. You have to build, no matter what you're doing, you have to build your brand to remain competitive in this marketplace. And even to give your own firm legacy, longevity, value would be by building your own brand. So when you do step away, the firm has greater brand. Is that fair to say?
I mean, you said it better than me. That's exactly right. Because you don't know, you might want to sell it one day and you want to do something else. You want to already have that equity of your own name away from your company. So yeah, it's got to be about your personal brand.
Okay, so we're going to step away and have a bonus. You got some time for a quick bonus section here, Doc?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. We're going to step away, and when we come back, we're going to make sure Doc puts his money where his mouth is. He's going to create for me, and he doesn't know this, by the way, just hear it. I'm going to come out with my new book. I'm an author. My new book comes out in 3.5 months. I engage you, and you're going to tell me, Rod, this is what we can do for you to make it a national bestseller. We'll be right back with the Massimo Show.
Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo, and we always tell our coaching clients that knowing isn't doing. That's right. Don't kid yourself. In fact, in my new book, Don't Kid Yourself, Knowing Isn't Doing, Build the Business and Life You Desire, I lay out many of our Massimo methods that we share with our clients to help them transform their lives. My new book, Knowing Isn't Doing, is going through a soft launch that will happen in March of 2020, and then a big national launch in September 2020. For more information, check out knowingisn'tdoing.com.
Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo for this bonus section with the one and only Doc Williams, the Kid Card and Candy King, the transformational muscle and fitness guru, the writer for ESPN, the Arnold Schwarzenegger marketer, and everything else in between. But also, we're talking now, probably the most popular person he's worked with, and then the least popular person he's worked with. And we'll make that jump. And then more importantly, how you can work with Doc yourself and get your brand built. So, Doc, welcome back to the Massimo Show. You ready to jump in?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Okay, so what I know as, you probably work with many more popular folks than this one individual, but I know this one individual through our relationship with him and being clients of his, I guess, from that standpoint, and Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vee. So how did you get to know Gary Vee? Was it just the 4Ds experience, the day with Gary Vee, and then he realized, wow, this kid can really do something? How did you get to know it, and then how did you get to work with it?
Yeah, so it's kind of a windy journey. I followed Gary since like 2009. I'd never really worked with him. When I was writing a sports magazine, that's when Vayner Sports first came into existence. And I was like, I want to talk to Gary. I want to do something. I want to show him what I can do. But I always knew everyone's always after Gary, and he's really busy. So how are you going to get to him? Well, that's why I pitched his brother, AJ. And a lot of people don't ever do interviews with AJ, his younger brother, or anything like that. One time there was a number to call for Vayner Media or Vayner Sports. And that was a mistake, because if I ever get a phone number, it's done. So I called them every week for 1 year to get the interview with AJ. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. So like AJ hasn't done a lot of interviews. He's done one with like Lewis Howes when he's like 21, something like that. And one other, and then it's us. And we got him for half an hour. So we got him, did that for Vayner Sports, got the first print magazine talking about Vayner Sports years ago. I think that was 2017. And then from there, I just kept being in the same wheelhouse with Gary or people that were doing business with Gary. So Gary was on a podcast of one of the clients we were working with. And so we produced that podcast for them. Gary was there. We did a couple other things. Afterwards, we got invited to go to 4Ds, did that. And then another company that Gary invests in, they wanted to work with Brand Factory. And then afterwards, Tony, the community manager for the 4Ds out of Sasha Group and everything, we redid his brand to revamp what he wanted to do. So that's how we ended up there.
Unbelievable. To work alongside the Vayner Media at this point, the cycle of business and trajectory and marketing. And for those who don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, Google him, number one. the marketing maven of our time. He just is. So whether you disagree, agree with what he's doing, the way he's doing it is shares with us what we could do as well to get known and build a brand. Okay, so Doc, this is the terrible, pathetic product placement part here, right? We go, there you go. Doc, so the new book, Knowing Isn't Doing,
nice.
Build the Business and Life You Desire. That's coming out in March of 2020. And what we're doing at the Massimo Group is we're building beyond the commercial real estate space. And all our clients for the last 10 years have been in commercial real estate, 11 years to start to expand more. And so we're sharing, giving away a lot of our methods just to show people how we work with others. And no doubt the Massimo Group, believe it or not, was not named after me. It wasn't. It was originally Domus was our original company. And then through a focus group, people said, no, the name's got to be Massimo. Massimo being the most, the best, the superlative. So it became Massimo Group. But Rod Santomassimo is, I'll say, synonymous with the Massimo Group. In fact, most people call me Mr. Massimo. That's not who I am. I want to get known on a much broader scale. I want to build the brand of Rod Santomassimo beyond Massimo Group. So, and I'm sure there are others out there that say, you know what, I want to build my brand as well. Someone like me, book coming out, I come in and say, hey, Doc, we're not talking about fees or anything here. That's not the issue. It's what can you do for me? So what can you do for me, Doc?
Yeah. So thinking about you wanting to transition and go into different fields, the basic thing that I would say is, first of all, what would that goal mean to you? Do you want to do a type of consulting? Do you want to replicate the same kind of business you have in real estate and then do it in another vertical? So I think it depends on that first. And then we get into the scheduling of how, like, I would build out how to make your book known and then how you would transcend and get into other industries. Whatever side you want to start on first, I can do it.
Okay. And then so you would have a campaign for getting the book known through a variety of vehicles, right? So when the launch date comes up, you can assist in the enhancement of sales of that book on that launch date. Is that correct?
Exactly. So I'll just give you one example. When we talk about like national bestsellers, I mean, there's so many. What does that mean, right? So what category do you want to dominate to get that national spot? What category do you want to compete in? Because technically I'm an international bestseller, but that's because I went into the category of collectibles and toys on Amazon and I crushed it. And, but that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, so are we going with that? Are we going for that title in your industry, or do you just want national bestseller title? Because then we can translate that into speaking and everything like that. And then from there, what I would do is, Rod, I'm going to talk about your book and like what I would do. So if I had 3 months, this is what I would do. I would look and actually go on similarweb.com. I would look at different blogs in my industry first, because I'm going to play to my base first. Then I'm going to pick 1 to 3 other verticals that are similar to mine that people know about me or know why it's important to be in this industry, but they want to expand, right? So that way I can have relevancy, but I'm still being a guest star in someone else's industry or that space. So I always go by rules of 3. I go for 3 blogs in my own industry. I go for 3 guest blogs in other people's industry. But those 3 blogs, I tier them. So I do 3 A-lister blogs, 3 B, 3 C. And that way, when I pitch, I'm going to end up with 1 A, 1 B, 1 C. I'm not expecting to get 9. I'm expecting to only get 3. And then once I get that, I have a schedule of release dates. So I'm going to be telling my audience where I'm showing up, but also where I'm showing up and guest starring on their blog or podcast and everything. I'm doing a simple call to action of a freebie that's maybe even a chapter download or something with the book or an audio, but then they're still on my list. I get them as subscribers. Even if they don't decide to buy, I can still segment them on what they're trying to learn, and then I can get them later on. So that's the style of getting my name out there. For the pure numbers, there are tons of subscription services, tons of ones that people don't take advantage of. So subscription boxes. For my clients, I go and actually get in partnership with subscription boxes and get a bulk deal with them and say, hey, I would love to have my book highlighted in this box set. And that's how we basically crank out the numbers for them to get a national bestseller.
So you all heard it here. Doc's going to make me a national bestseller. Now, Doc, the good news is I'm already a bestseller in my industry, and that's kudos to that. But I want to go beyond that. That's really freaking interesting. Doc, people want to work with you. They should work with you because you can create brand, and brand is everything today. We say at the Massimo Group, we have what's called the P factor, Doc, and that is, look, you got to understand what your value proposition is. You got to align that with your personal and have a dominant presence in the market. Then your prospecting campaign around that will ultimately create higher production, just will. So in your case, it's everything. It's the value prop, it is some of the prospecting campaign, but it's more the presence elements, and you build that. So how do folks get in contact with you, and how can they say, hey, I need the doctor to fix me?
That's awesome. So yeah, you just go to brandfactoryinc.com. So brandfactoryinc.com. You can sign up. We have a free course talking about 3 steps to build your dream business, or you can just email me at doc@brandfactoryinc.com, and we set up a discovery call and see if you're a good fit and if we're a good fit for you.
That's awesome. Everyone, Doc's in the house. Please give him a call. He doesn't make house calls. He probably does, though. He probably does. Go visit him. He's incredible what he does. And think about, and heck, he's only in his early 30s. He's a kid. So I can't imagine what empire you are going to own when you're late 30s, let alone your 40s and 50s. Doc, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing your incredible insight. Look forward to connecting again, okay?
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Take care. Hey, everyone. Until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. Don't forget to share this with your friends, families, colleagues, dogs, and cats. I know I'm not a cat fan for those who know me, but still, share anyway. Incredible episode with your one and only Doc Williams. Let's move forward. Take care.
I want to thank you for listening to this version of the Massimo Show. And please, please go out and share this with your friends, your colleagues. Heck, share it with your dog. Just share it. And more importantly, just give me some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. We all grow from understanding what our audience wants to hear. So until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and/or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of. We provide coaching programs for all levels of experience, earnings, and yes, success. So if you're finally ready to get off that transaction treadmill and chasing deals that are growing nowhere and start building the personal, professional business and life consisting of greater wealth and more time, well, check us out at Massimo.coach. That's MASSIMO.coach.